When I say beta feedback for your book manuscript, is the first thing that comes to your mind the movie Jerry Maguire? In today's video, I'm going to tell you why it should be. Hi there, Jodi Brandon here of Jodi Brandon Editorial. I am a book writing coach, book editor, and publishing consultant for creative entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and bloggers who want to scale their business with a book. And today we're talking about beta feedback for your book. This comes in the revision process of the 5-step writing process. Pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. So we're more than halfway there. In the 3rd step, revising. But that step includes what I call getting beta feedback. And this means that you send your manuscript out to a select number of people, usually 3 to 5, I say. You don't want to get too much more than that, too many more people than that, or the process can get overwhelming for them and for you. So you want to keep it sort of targeted. But what you're doing is getting feedback to help revise your manuscript, to strengthen it, to make it better, to make it stronger, to make it more clear for your readers. So what the heck does that have to do with the movie Jerry Maguire? Well, if you've seen the movie, you know that Tom Cruise plays Jerry Maguire, a sports agent. And Cuba Gooding Jr. plays Rod Tidwell, a football player who doesn't always act the way Jerry wants him to act to get him the best deal possible. So Rod's trying to get a great deal. He wants to get paid. Jerry wants that too because then he also gets paid, but he needs some help from him. So there's a scene in the movie that I think is so funny where Jerry is saying to Rod, "Help me help you. Help me help you." And he says it a bunch of times over and over and again. He's trying to get Rod to understand that he is trying to get him the best deal. Jerry is trying to get him the best deal. But I always think of that scene in that movie when I'm talking with clients about beta feedback, because you don't want to just send the manuscript out to 25 people and say, "Hey, let me know what you think," because you're going to get a gamut of responses that aren't really necessarily going to help you improve your manuscript. So what do you need to do? You need to help the beta readers help you. That's how you get the feedback that will be most useful. So here are my 3 steps. Number 1, don't choose too many people. 3 to 5 people is great if you've targeted the right people. Identify people who are within your ideal market, your ideal readership, because those are the people you want to know. Is the book making sense to this person? Is this book going to be helpful to this person? This type of person. You also want to get feedback from people who know something about your industry or about the topic. So they might not necessarily be your ideal reader, but they're under that umbrella and they know what you should be talking about in the book, so they're able to provide that feedback also. You don't want to just send it to anybody. If you're targeting beginner entrepreneurs with your book, let's say you're writing a marketing book, you don't want to be talking about some complex system for people who've been in business, 5 to 8 years. It's going to be way over their head. They're down here at the beginner level and you're writing up here. And vice versa. If you're writing for someone up here, you don't want beginners reading your book because they're going to be lost. So they're not going to understand what you're talking about. So they're not going to be able to provide helpful feedback. So choose the right people, choose the right number of people. Next thing, ask targeted questions. You don't want to rely on yes/no questions. It can be a yes/no if you're sure they're going to expand upon it. You don't want to send out your manuscript and say, "Were there any parts in the manuscript that were unclear?" And you get a yes. You need to know what those parts are, right? Because you're in the revision process. So how are you going to find those parts and make them clearer if you don't know what they are? So you don't want to rely on yes/no questions. You want to rely on more open-ended questions that will get the reader and the beta feedback person, get them thinking, get them sharing with you so that you can take that feedback and then incorporate it into the manuscript if you choose to do so. So the things that you're looking for though are there terms that are unknown to you? Am I using jargon or language that is not clear? Are there parts where I kind of lost you, where it got boring basically? They're not engaged anymore, the reader's not engaged. So you lost their interest. And the way you phrase those questions is you say, where in the manuscript did I lose your interest? Not, did I lose your interest anywhere? So where did I lose your interest? You're looking for a space in the manuscript or places in the manuscript, or for them to say, chapter 3 was really dry. It needs it lost me, it was too boring. Not, were there any parts where I lost your interest? Yes. So you want to get them talking to you, basically. And my third to-do there is to capture that information in a way that then you can utilize. So I recommend a type form or a SurveyMonkey, a Google Doc, a Google survey, something like that, because what you want to do is have the information from all of your feedback, beta feedback people in a way that it's organized by topic. So you want to look at that question, were there any terms that you didn't know, and you want to have the answer from all of them, all lined up, so you can see, okay, all 5 people said that they weren't sure what I meant when I used this term, which is, maybe it's like your own term for something that's common in your industry. Well, if all 5 people said it, then it probably needs to be explained. If two said it and 3 didn't, then you might be okay. So then it becomes a balancing act of figuring out how much of the beta feedback you want to incorporate and how much you don't. And it's your decision, of course, but getting varied opinions from several different people helps you figure out where there might be holes in the manuscript, where there might be places that you can tighten things up, where things need to maybe be more clear. If 5 people tell you, or let's say 4 people tell you that they think that this chapter should come before that chapter. Well, 4 out of 5 is, 80%. That's a big number. So that's very different from one person saying, oh, I kind of wish, chapter 3 came before chapter 1 because it sets it up better. Well, if just one person thinks that, then most people got it and most people read it the way you thought they were going to read it. You're not going to please everybody, right? Reading is subjective. So the feedback you get is also going to be subjective. So you're really just trying to figure out, how does a reader see what I've written? How is a reader taking in what I've written? Is it clear? Does it make sense? And you ask those targeted questions, especially if there was a part of the manuscript that you sort of had trouble writing. It was harder to write. You thought maybe it was too research heavy, or you thought maybe I should add in a little bit more background research from, an expert on mindfulness or something like that. Those are the questions for sure that you ask your beta readers. You don't want to overwhelm them, like I said. So, 5 to 7 targeted questions. And then the feedback from those questions, you organize it, and then you take it in, you consume it, and you figure out how you want to incorporate it or not into your manuscript. So I hope that video made sense to you. I hope that you can see the value that the beta readership process really adds to revision when you're writing a book. I really, really, really recommend to my clients that they don't skip this process. I know it's scary to send your manuscript out there in the world, especially because it's not finished. You're usually doing this between your first and second draft, or your second and third draft. So it's not finished, and you're still holding it tight close to the vest. But it really, really, really can make your book so much better and so much stronger, and can help make it clearer and help you serve that audience, which again serves you in the end too in your business. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe below. I will link to a blog post where I talk more about finding the right beta readers, because that's a question I get a lot. And until next time.